Hello and welcome to our garden, and welcome to Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. I'm Maria Campbell, and this is Louise Halfe and Joseph Naytowhow, and we work on this campus. We're the knowledge keepers. Louise is the elder for the university, and I'm the cultural advisor to the College of Law. And Joseph is our knowledge keeper, is in and out all the time. I hope you enjoy our garden. We picked some flowers. We're going to take some of the seeds home and plant them. I just wanted to leave you with a message and ask my relatives to do the same thing. When I was thinking about this garden and we started to plan it, I was thinking about the plants as our children. We planted the garden and we send our kids to school and we hope that they come to university, and that university will be a good experience for them, that they will that they'll learn about their people and their history, and that there'll be respect and kindness shown to them, and that that they can flourish here, just like our garden. And I'm really hopeful when I look at the garden, because these are wild plants. It was quite fun when we first year we planted them. The groundkeepers came over and cleaned the garden for us, and they pulled out all of the weeds. But the plants were the weeds. Our medicine was the weeds. So we had to explain to them that this is what we were trying to nurture, because these were our medicines. And many of our laws are in these plants and in the stories of these plants. So, hoping that garden will last for the next 7 generations, because many of these plants are almost extinct. And I want you to think about that when you come to visit, and I hope that you'll visit the garden and think about not just our children but yours as well. The way that we treat young people that come here is the kind of society and world that we'll have, because the way that we behave with each other is what comes from us, not just as parents and grandparents, but also as teachers, mentors, and faculty, artists. All of us need to think about 7 generations ahead. And so that's what I wish for, and I welcome all of you. And if there's anything I can do to help you, I'm here and I'm willing to do that. Louise.
I was thinking, as Maria was talking about professors, and thinking of myself as a student here and various other places and my experience at the university. And I want to share with you some 3, maybe 4 examples. But I have had 2 very exciting professors, and one was in history, And he brought history alive by bringing in actors of that particular era, and so that history would remain ingrained in our memory, and it was exciting. And that was Professor Hayden. I don't know if he's still alive, but I also talked to him about Voltaire. I believe it was Voltaire, or was it The Prince or something like that that he wrote? I can't remember, but I thought it was a horrible book because it talked about the superiority of white nations and whatnot, and I was deeply offended by that, and I wrote him a note and I said, I don't think this should be on your syllabus because it's sending the wrong message to students who already have racial tendencies, and he listened, and I appreciated that. The other professor who's I've been over a friend of him and his wife for many years has been Professor Ron Markham, and he nurtured me as a human being first and foremost, and about introducing me to literature and nurturing my writing career. And I really appreciated that human kindness. The other professor that I'm thinking of that I didn't have a particularly good response was from University of Athabasca, and I can't remember her name, but I was just a fledgling writer, and they looked at my writing, and she said, "Oh, this writing is just contrived." And at the time, my English wasn't well developed, and I had to look up that word, and I was deeply offended, and I thought, I won't say the word, but there you go. And luckily for me, I had to move beyond that, and luckily for me that I met Professor Markham, who nurtured. And I think what's really important for me as not only a mentor to the students, but for professors and for each and every one of us, is that we remember what all of us believe in, and we call them the grandmothers and the grandfathers, the 7 grandmothers and grandfathers, which is mutual respect, mutual, I can't think of all of them offhand, but honesty, trust, the willingness to be open and to go beyond, but don't talk down to a person, even if there are students. And that's what I want to emphasize to people in the learning profession. In my everyday life, in my professional life, I really sometimes I'm silenced by the white settler community because they don't know how to relate to me as a human being. And I go, what is your problem? Don't you know how to talk to people? And some people actually ask me in the medical profession, how do you talk to your patients? And I said to them, well, how do you talk on your first date? Like, we're not monkeys. You just start asking questions, finding commonalities, and exploring each other as human beings. And then you'll find all these wonderful or disastrous things about this person, and you can develop your compassion and your kindness and your respect and whatnot. And those are the things that I would like to emphasize to people in general. And I've had the privilege of walking in this university and through SIFC, where I took my social work training, and learned so much, and I take everything to heart, and self-examination is so important. So thank you for this opportunity to share this. Hi.
I started my university in Regina many years ago, and I didn't know at that time I was of Indigenous blood. So I still see that today, even here at the U of S. There are young people that kind of wander around looking for their identity, trying to know who they are. So we can't assume that a lot of the people that are brown-skinned or of a First Nation or Métis consent, have knowledge of who they are. A lot of them are still searching, they're still part of that residential school system that was here, the foster homes and all that. They're still experiencing some of that trauma. Sometimes they call it intergenerational, and I run into those kids, those young people. And when I was there, so it was really important to be mixed in with a diverse group of people and to get to know your students. And it's hard at the university when there's so many in the classes, there's so many students. But when you see diversity, it makes you feel different, because we all come from our own different cultures, and I came from my own place, but where I went, we were all isolated. We were all brown-skinned young boys and girls all together in one place. So you got used to that until you went to the city. And when I went to the city school, then I saw a better, mix of people. So those professors and students and new students that are coming in, you really have to take it a day at a time. You have to. It's really focused here, so you can't really enjoy too much of the nightlife and anything like that. You have to be careful of your actions, and conduct around here. And then you're also on Indigenous land, in Treaty 6 territory, Métis territory, and there's also Dakota around here. So you have to be really aware of who's who in this territory and welcome them. Because we haven't had a very good welcome in the beginning back 500 years ago. And we're still kind of beginning, we're still at that place where we're still trying to understand one another. Just like, these flowers, you're learning to relate to each other. And it takes time for them to know one another, to love one another, to have empathy over each other. To have kindness and respect for one another. Those are the things I was brought into much later in my life. I'm in my 60s now. I don't want to say any more than that, but thank you. I'm still learning as I go through, my experience from the residential school. I still experience a little difficulty with that, but I've gone a long ways to try to be balanced emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. So I've been working on that, and to be here with Maria and Louise here, it's a real honor to sit with them in here. We really value our matriarchy in our communities, and that's one thing that's one way that we are raised, as a young men. But a lot of our young men have been taken down a different path, so that's still being worked on today. Example pek no te napsi so nanas ko magot tapi kuitim sigot kapi situsko to ichitasan. So I'm really thankful to be of support here, to be a part of this welcoming and this introduction.
So that's I guess the end of our discussion, but I just wanted to show you these flowers again. Joseph talked a little bit about diversity, and one of the teachings that my grandma gave us when we were little kids, or my great-grandmother, about getting along, because we didn't always appreciate somebody different coming into our communities, and there was sometimes not good things that happened. And my grandma took us out into a meadow where there were all kinds of medicine plants, where she picked a lot of her medicines. And she said, look at them. She said, they're all different, and they all get along, and they make this place beautiful. They honor and respect each other. And so I think about that with all of them. They're beautiful, and they're all different. They all have something really special to offer us.